remember on one of my videos, somebody came on, I think it was the one about Aaron, the Awakened Brave. I did a meditation or something and I didn't talk for like 5 minutes at the beginning. And since the system is somehow removing negative comments from my channel without, like, I can see them, I have a separate app that it's a separate YouTube stat app, and I go and look at comments on there because YouTube doesn't really do a very good job of letting me know who's commenting and when. So I have this separate app that shows me a list of the comments, and I can see like the first, I don't know, 15 words or something, and then if I click on it, it will show me the rest of the comment. And I've noticed this like 15 different times where somebody will leave a comment that looks nasty, like they're just being mean essentially, and I'll click on it, and the comment, it won't say what happened to it. It just, the comment will just be gone. There will be a blank, no explanation, no anything, just the comment doesn't exist. So I don't know how that's happening. I don't know if I have no idea how that's happening, because I don't delete comments. If somebody, you know, is trolling or whatever, I don't, generally speaking, don't react or care very much. But yeah, somebody left a comment on why am I wasting their time with not saying anything for 5 minutes at the beginning. I actually have a video, I think, where it was like a 40-minute long video of me driving and I didn't say anything the whole time. It still got like 40 views for some reason. Nobody commented. It's got like 10 thumbs up. I don't know. But in response to Matt, Quantum of Conscience, the new Quantum of Conscience, the former Texas Shrugged, asking about what we think of Sovereign Kai or Key, Sovereign Key, George and Lauda Leon. I've actually made one video on them, or Lauda specifically. You can search for it if you want to look at it. But you see, okay, well, first and foremost, when I'm judging somebody or a YouTube personality, I don't really look at what they're talking about. I don't really look at the topics. I feel into them, like, intuitively, and I feel if they're coming from a place of purity or if they're coming from some sort of agenda-driven, goal-oriented mindset. And if it's agenda-driven, and I sense that, then I get tired of it very quickly because they become very predictable in their output, regardless of the topic. And if they're pure, so to speak, or spirited individuals, then I'm attracted to them, or I'm attracted to their spirit, and I will enjoy listening to what they're saying regardless of the topic. And George and Lauda, I feel like they're a bit of both, actually. There is an agenda. It feels like there is some sort of an agenda. Mainly, I mean, you can't really argue that there's not an agenda, because she's essentially channeling information, or she's giving us information that she was given. The same sort of thing as Og. He was told or given information, and he's telling us, he's relating to us his whatever he wants to give of that information, or his interpretation of that information. So in that sense, both of those Og and George and Lauda are representing whoever is giving them the information. So we have the fact that there is some sort of agenda. We just have to accept that if we wish to continue listening to them. And now, I don't just write someone off because I hear or feel that they have an agenda or are serving an agenda, because just because they're serving an agenda, that's not grounds for me dismissing them as a whole. So aside from that, I do feel that George and Lauda are pure. I don't feel like they are. Well, I guess the next step of judgment for me would be, are they sitting mainly in ego, or are they sitting mainly in source or spirit energy, or coming from ego or spirit source? And if I feel like they're coming mainly from ego, then that's another indication that I probably am not interested. And if they're coming mainly from spirit source, or I feel like they are, then again, I'm attracted to that. And I feel that George and Lauda are coming mainly from spirit source. Ego stuff is, to me, it seems pretty like it's easy to identify. Ego stuff is just like fear, personal image, identity, accomplishments, like achievements, us versus them attitude, nationalism, all this stuff is like the egos are easy to identify. And if I feel like someone, even if they are for an agenda, if they don't seem mainly ego driven, then I will continue listening to them. And as far as the information goes, if it's fear mongering, or if, as George mentioned at the end of that video that you, Matt, are talking about, where they're basically saying, you know, batten down the hatches because shit's about to pop off. They're giving what they're giving. They're, you know, unless you feel like they're lying to themselves in how they're portraying this information, then they're just giving what they're giving, and you know, you do with it what you will. If you're still giving energy to the external and basically reacting off of this unit and this unit, and this over here is saying that, and that over there is saying that, and this newspaper is saying that, and this friend is saying that, and then my own self is saying this, and they all collide and clash with each other, then you're just going to be confused regardless of whether this particular person is right or wrong according to you. As far as the content of the message, it's not inconceivable. I mean, everything that's been happening recently is pointing that towards ramping up of the fear-mongering stuff, you know, ramping up. We had Las Vegas and the fires here in California, which lots of people think are some sort of weapon that was used and not natural fires, within, you know, a week or two, or however far apart they were. And this is on the same timeline of Trump being ushered in, and him being extremely polarizing to those who still give power to that position internally. He's very polarizing, confusing. So if what they're predicting, which is some sort of a nuke attack on Virginia, see, a specific prediction like that, if it's just fear porn, then I wouldn't say you would need to make the nuke small. Like, you know, make it gonna wipe out half the United States. That would be better fear porn. So if they are doing fear porn, they're playing chess with it. They're not just doing fear porn for the sake of eating a couple bits of fear in an archontic fashion. So I don't believe that they're... And as well, George addressed the idea at the end of that video of people saying, well, you're helping this thing to manifest because you're planting it in the heads of yada yada amount of people. I would say that these guys aren't big enough players to do that even. They have 1,000 subscribers. 1,500 people have watched that video. If you're gonna get together with a group and try and manifest an idea, you wanna hop on like CNN or you wanna find Ralph Smart and ask if you can and push your idea on his channel because you're gonna reach 1 million people. Or you're gonna find, you know, the guy that does creepypasta, Creeps McPasta. Incorporate your idea into one of his stories and then help it manifest through the collective consciousness of you know, 1 million people, or however many of those watch that. You're not gonna push this on a platform that has 1,000, and they have more than 1,000. That's just YouTube stuff, but you get my point, I think. And as well, at the end of it, George was, they were both talking about how it's already been done. Same thing Og talks about, in that in the physical human 3D experience realm, there are a finite amount of combinations that can happen, and we can't comprehend this because we're so limited. But the fact that you can count like how many cars are around you, you can count hairs on a head, you can theoretically count numbers of sand particles in a beach. It's a finite realm where the infinite or the eternal is only sensed through the inner. So if you imagine that this realm is kind of scripted out, at least as far as the external goes, because I know I'm not consciously managing what's going on around me, then you could see that it could possibly be scripted from beginning to end, from birth to death, and maybe that's just what this experience is, including the feeling of self-will and self-control and choices and all that. But what they were mentioning at the end of it was that it's already been done, and George said, yeah, we have to turn the pages of the book, essentially. That's if you're here playing a role, then you turn the pages. You know, you don't just go and bury your head in the sand unless that's, you know, your script. Then you go ahead and do that. And also Lauda mentioned something that I found interesting, which was that she said this is the great purification, or the event that gets rid of all scripts for all time. So essentially the sort of canned programmed realities that we get here in the realm, the purification is intended to remove this idea of scripting reality entirely. So reality can go back to being organic and relative to everything around it, rather than symbolic and everything relegated to meanings which are not very much related to the thing they're trying to represent, and so on and so forth. That makes sense to me. Oh, I wanted to say something else about choice. I don't think a lot of people have looked into that word very deeply to see what it means to them, because when I've heard it discussed, I've only heard two sides of a story, and these sides are called free will versus determinism. That's all I've heard. I haven't heard any expounding on the other possible varieties surrounding what that word intends to portray. Because you can take a second and examine yourself and, you know, pop in a choice, like just pop it in, you know, put that sucker right in there. Say, bring up an option, like driving, okay, I can turn right at this street coming up, it's coming up. I can turn right, okay, I'm slowing down, or I could go straight. Yeah, okay, I'm wavering, I'm in kind of half in the lane, turn right, okay, I'm going straight. Okay, so I made a choice, right? Am I on that road? No. Did I make a choice? My dad tried to pull this on me too. I was talking with him about choice, and he's like, I can stand up right now. He's like, watch me. And he stood up. He's like, I made that choice. I made that choice. You know? So the word requires examination to, first and foremost, to see if you have anything that word is trying to tell you that you have. Do you really have that feeling, sense that the word is telling you? And if you do, what exactly is it? Do you have that choice? Could I be driving down that street right now? Because that's where I would be if I had made that choice, and everything that's interacting with me now would not currently be interacting with me, right? The other things over there would be interacting with me, as far as I know. So in my understanding of it, every time you make a choice, so to speak, you are merging off into a parallel universe. And then the one where yourself went to the right, that's another one. That's going on right now. I'm experiencing this one because, like, I sensed over to it. I felt my way over to this one. Could I have made that choice and been in that one? Maybe I did make that choice and I'm in that one, in that parallel reality. That's the only way it would make sense to me. Otherwise, it's just an imaginative choice, because I only went one way. I could only go one way. If I went the other way, I would have only gone that way. And then the whole entire universe has now shifted because I went this way, because now I'm going to interact with everything in an entirely different manner. But that still does not illustrate that free will and choice is even a thing. That just illustrates that I had the idea that there was a possibility of me going one way or the other. I had an idea of that. Now, I had to go one or the other. I couldn't do both at the same time. So it's only after the event happened that I can consider whether or not that was a choice and whether or not I really could have done the alternative. I don't think I could have done the alternative. I think we are given the perception that it's multi-layered and multi-possible things that are going on here, but I don't really have that sense. I have the sense that there's just one thing going on with the idea that there are other possibilities to create freedom for spirit. Because if we were just in here and we felt like we were on a train track, then it would be, spirit wouldn't be able to handle being here, because spirit is just everywhere all the time. That would take away our inner freedom. So I think that's why we have that sense of options, even though the body itself must go through one specific line, one specific train track. And as far as impending disasters and all this stuff, okay, and prepping, does not ensure that the event is going to happen. I know that much because my grandparents bought all kinds of shit and kindling and wood and water and everything for Y2K, which didn't ever do anything. Maybe not enough people did it, perhaps. But I will always be preaching to the idea that you need to take a look at the surroundings, take a look at the news, take a look at whatever, and look within yourself. As always, look within yourself, look within your soul, within your heart, with whatever makes you feel alive, and contrast this external with that. And if you're getting the sense that you need to do something, make some choice in the external, such as prep or not prep, or move out of Virginia or not move out of Virginia based off of George and Lauda's message, well, I would say that you should look within and find out if that's correct for you. Maybe you're supposed to die in a nuclear blast in Virginia. I don't know. Maybe you're not. Some people, if a bomb hits there, are supposed to die there. They have to. Everybody's not going to evacuate were that to happen. There are always going to be casualties. The dying of bodies is not... This is spiritual. It's always been spiritual. We've been around here for a long time, everybody. Playing different games with different forms. And some of them are playing a bit mean, and that's what this is about. It's about reconciling the people who are essentially cheating, or beings that are cheating. Everything is always reconciled at some point, and balance is always there at all points. But being that we're in a very distorted thing, it can appear to be highly unbalanced. For those who are asking me about Tiffany and how she's doing, she did text me recently, and she said she's alright, and said thanks for having my back. So she's doing okay. YouTube casualties, right? Should make a video titled YouTube Casualties. How not to disappear off of YouTube. Yep, that's about it. I already missed my opportunity to stop this at 22:22, so there's not really anything else for me to try. I could try 23:32. No. 24:42. I'll try that. We'll try 24:42. Let's see what kind of meaning you guys can glean out of that one. Well, 2 plus 4 plus 4 plus 2 is 12. And there's an 8 if you add the 4's in the middle to each other. And there's 4 if you add the 2's on the outside together. And 4 minus 2 is 2, and 4 minus 2 is 2. And they're all even numbers. And it's kind of a mirror, because 24 is the mirror of 42. Ah, crap. He didn't even click on it right. Well, I'm gonna try. It's coming up. This fucking swing thing is bothering me.